Welcome to the Labor Link podcast, where we talk to the people organizing workers in global supply chains. My name is Judy Gearhart, and I'll be your host. This is the second episode in a series about fisher organizing. In 2014, articles in the AP, The Guardian, and the New York Times raised awareness about the egregious abuses suffered by fishers, especially migrant fishers working on the Thai fleet. In the first episode of this series, I interviewed John Harto about the International Transport Workers Federation and their work in the region. John talked about how the ITF helped start the Fisher Rights Network, or FRN, to support fisher organizing in Thailand. He framed up the challenges and successes they've had and the 2 steps forward, 1 step back dynamic of securing policy reforms to protect fishers' rights, especially fishers' rights to organize and access remedy. In this episode, I talk with Nguyen from Myanmar, who is an organizer with the FRN, and then with Nguyen and Hoc from Cambodia. Nguyen is an organizer with FRN, and Hoc is a fisher member of the Fisher Rights Network. We're only using their first names for their protection. I first visited the FRN in Songkhla, Thailand in 2018 when they were just getting started. I've followed their work ever since. The FRN is committed to not only stopping the egregious abuses at sea, they are giving fishers the tools they need to organize and negotiate with employers. This is the hard, slow work of organizing. In this episode, you'll hear about Nguyen and Lynn's patience and creativity in reaching out to and engaging fishers, and about Hoc's experience joining with the other fishers on his boat to negotiate better terms. Although there is some overlap in the issues they raise, we have sequenced the interviews so it's easier to follow. I'll start with my interview with Nguyen, an organizer from Myanmar who has been with the FRN for 6 years, so pretty much from the beginning. Thank you so much, Mario, for making the time to speak with me. And thank you again, Shui, for agreeing to interpret.
My pleasure. Okay, အချိန်ပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကျေးဇူးတင်တယ်ကိုမာရီယိုဒီနေ့သူနဲ့လာပြီးတော့အချိန်ပေးပြီးစကားလာပြောတဲ့အတွက်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါဘာမှမဖြစ်ပါဘူး
Pleasure is fine for him.
Mario, could I ask you to say your name and what you do with the Fisher Rights Network, what your role is?
Okay, ko Mario his name is Nguyen, but he also well known as Mario, and he said he's been with FRN for 6 years, and he just asked that earlier did you mention about the challenges for fishers that face in Thailand? So he joined FRN because he observed all the unjust and fair treatment and exploitation over fishers, and he want to eliminate those unfair treatment. So that's why he joined FRN.
How long ago did he join FRN?
FRN 6 years.
Okay. Was he an organizer before that? What was he doing before joining FRN?
အရင်ကစီယုံရေမလုပ်ဘူးကျွန်တော်အရင်တော့လည်းကျွန်တော်ဒီလူမှုကစေရင်ပဲလုပ်ဘူးတယ်
So before he joined FRN, he was not an organizer. He worked for an NGO that worked for TB, HIV stuff.
Okay. How long ago did he come to Thailand?
Thailand ကိုရောက်လာတာဘယ်လောက်ကြာပြီလဲ
တိုင်းနိုင်ငံမှာထောက်လေးဟုတ်လို့ဆိုတော့ဆက်18နှစ်လောက်ရှိပြီတဲ့မှာ
18 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. Nguyen, what can you tell me about what you've learned from migrant fishers and the abuses that they've seen at sea? What are some of the cases that you've worked on?
Okay, အဲ့တော့ကိုနေနည်းနည်းလောက်ပြောပြပေးလို့ရမှာလား So from his experience from doing this organizing work, he observed like 6 problems that challenges that fishers are facing. The first one is about the document retention. Like fishers, they are not allowed to have their own documents. Once they are on shore, like captain or like vessel owners still keep the documents of the fishers. And the second one is like restriction of movement, because once fishers back to the shore, they cannot still move freely. They were forced to stay like, on a fishing vessel.
What are the ways that the captain makes these fishers stay on the fishing vessel?
Like fishers are like threatened that if you go out, like you will be arrested by police authorities. So fishers are told to just stay in on board.
Wow, that's got to be really scary for the fishers. Have any of the captains had fishers arrested like that?
So he said yes, because like when fishers go out and inspect or stop by the police and check for the document, but the document of fishers is not with the fishers. So sometimes fishers are like fined for not holding document with them, and for that money, employer like doesn't pay for the fine. It is fisher who is the one that has to pay fine to the police.
Wow, that's incredible. So I knew there was a problem with the captains holding the fishers' documents, but this idea that it means they're trapped on the vessel when they're at port, and the captains can actually turn them into the police is just cruel.
Yes. Okay, and another challenge is that like in case the fishers is sick or get injury at sea, but like fisher they still forced to work, and even like they are back to the shore. For the medical costs for the injury, fishers are the one who have to pay, and for the employer or captain, like they do not take responsibility for those costs.
So that's terrible. How does the Fisher Rights Network help those fishers when they have those expenses, medical expenses?
Okay, yeah. So for FIN part, he said before fishers going at sea, FIN provide medical kits, like he said, the one behind him, the medical box. And before giving these medical kits, FIN staff train the fishers how to use the medicine in the box, how to use bandage, other medicines properly. Explain the fisher first to make them understand first for their usage.
And are the fishers able to bring the medical kits on board the vessel, or does the captain take them?
So he said usually the medical boxes that are prepared in the fishing vessel is just for show to the government when the government officer come for inspection. So for that medical box, fisher cannot access, but for the medical box provided by FRN, he said, I give it to the fishers, into the hand of the fishers, and then so that fisher can keep those medical kit with them. And before giving, he said he will give training to one of the fishers, their representatives. So in case if anything happen, injury or accidents happen on fishing boats, like the representatives who FIN has trained would instruct how to use the medicines to other fishers.
So Nguyen, these sound like pervasive abuses that are affecting all of the fishers. And your work is so important for addressing that. What are some of the worst cases of abuse that you've had to deal with or that you've learned about from the fishers?
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဒါကအလို့တမဒီအခွင့်အရေးချိုးဖောက်ဒီဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲကပုံဖြစ်မှုအခွင့်အရေးချိုးဖောက်မှုလို့ပြောမှာပေါ့နော် So according to his experience he experienced one fisher's case as a case that the fishers like got wound from fish bone and at first it was just a small injury but because the fisher did not receive treatment the wound getting like serious and at the end the fingers has to be cut from the small wound yeah because like he said like got infection and the wounds getting worse yeah
Who cut their finger? Were they able to get back to shore to get medical treatment? Because I think amputating a finger is quite a big procedure.
So he said, start from a small injury, small wound, because the fishes was at sea and not able to go back to the shore. So that injury getting worse, and but by the time the fisher get back to the shore and went to the doctor said it's too late to cure, and the finger had to be cut.
Wow, that's significant. He must have been very sick by the time he got back to shore. I know from speaking with your colleagues in the Fisher Rights Network that FRN is providing some legal assistance. You just described some very important medical training. What other types of assistance is FRN giving to the fishers?
Okay, so FRN also educates fishers regarding their rights. Like according to the Thai law that enacted regarding fishers' rights, how many hours fishers can take a rest, and FRN also educate fishers about contract to have a contract to get a contract that of them.
That's great. And how is organizing going? What are the strategies you've used to engage fishers, and have you worked with any of the fishers who asked for their contracts or other legal rights that they weren't getting?
Okay, now FRN so he said like he wants to give a case that has been successful. It have 2 fishing vessels and then over 40 fishers at that time that FRN helped talk with the fishers together and then making agreements between employer and then the fishers. So after making that agreements between employer and the fishers that facilitate by FRN, the positive things that happen after that is wages of fishers, they are like improved. They earn better than before.
Did they also get a copy of their contract?
ပြီးတော့သူတို့အဲ့ဒီမှာသူတို့ရဲ့အလုပ်သမားစာချုပ်တွေရောရသွားလားတဲ့အ
လုပ်သမားစာချုပ်တွေရောရတယ်ဟုတ်လားကိုယ်တိုင်ကန်ရတယ်မိတူမှာအလုပ်သမားတွေမှာမိတစုံတစ်ထည်မှာတစုံအဲ့လိုမျိုးကိုယ်တိုင်ကန်
Yes, they also got a copy of contract, one copy with fisher and one copy with employer.
Now, in that case, did the employer agree to stop retaining their documents?
အဲ့ဒီတော့ပေါ့နော်ဒီလှုပ်ရှင်ရရော So in the agreement made between the employer and the fisher, that point was also included, not to withhold the document of the fishers. So after the agreement, fishers are allowed to hold their documents, and their wages also improved.
Wow, congratulations. That sounds like a pretty important success. Have you been able to engage other employers, or what do you think made that case successful? How were the dynamics in that case?
အဲ့ဒီတော့အောင်မြင်ခဲ့တဲ့ဟာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါအဓိကအကြောင်းရင်းကဘာဖြစ်လို့ဘာကြောင့်လို့ထင်လဲတဲ့တတိယတခြားတတိယ So he said the main reason is because of the unity among the fishers that they work together stand up for their rights together he said in short he said the employer is a bit nice but not that really nice employer in short he said the main reason is because of the unity among the fishers.
Are you able to get any support for fishers cases from the government?
Okay အဲ့တော့သူနောက်ထပ်သွားမဲ့မိကုန်းကကြတော့ဗောနော်ကိုမှဖြည့်ဆွဲကျင်တာရှိသေးလားတဲ့မရှိ So he said the government not really willing to collaborate or give support he said this is partly because the government officer they are also afraid that they are not doing their job well because for instance Thai law has already mentioned all the rights of the workers, but in practice, those government officers are not following and not doing their job. So he said it is a bit when he approached to the government officer not really willing to collaborate.
That's challenging. And then you have the case of the captain reporting the fishers to the police. It sounds like you need to both negotiate with the government and the employers.
So another point is the employer and the government they have close relation between the two. So because of that as well, they cannot effectively implement the labor's rights.
So Nguyen, you have a very challenging job. What keeps you motivated and what challenges do you face personally as an organizer for the Fisher Rights Network?
So for motivation factor, he doesn't want to see all the sufferings of the fishers and he wants to help because of this that motivate him to keep doing. So there are actually many challenges. One challenges that he mentioned is because most of the jetties are owned by the privately owned, it's quite hard for him to get access to those jetties to meet with the fishers. So he said to be able to meet with the fishers, sometimes he asks for the phone number of the fishers and then contact them and meet them outside of the jetty.
And you're saying that the fishers sometimes can't even leave the boat, and then that makes it even more challenging to be able to be in contact with the fishers, correct?
Yes.
Wow, you must be very creative in your job to try and figure out how to engage these fishers. What are some of the strategies you use to get to know them?
အဲ့တော့ကိုနိုင်ဝင်းကတော့အများကြီးဘယ်လိုပြောမသိထွင်စမ်းသပ်မှုတွေရှိတယ်လို့ပြောမှာပေါ့နော်ဒီနီးလန်းနေစဉ်းစားတယ်ပေါ့နော် It's challenging for some places in the past like he said he has to be able to engage with fishers and get in touch with fisher he has to wear like his outfit that makes him look like a fisher so that when he like approach to fisher also feel like they are like friends and when the employer see also like him as like okay he is just another fisher that coming in so sometimes he said he has to like do those things wearing like style like a fisher style to be able to like get closer to the fisher and engage with the fisher.
Okay, so you have medical knowledge, legal knowledge, negotiating skills, relationship building skills, and you're a master of disguise. It's very impressive work that you're doing, Nguyen. I'm very, very impressed.
Thank you.
What is your vision for the Fisher Rights Network? I'm on my last two questions here, and I want to know, what do you hope the Fisher Rights Network can achieve in the future?
So
he hoped to gain like more membership in the FRN, more and more officials joining the membership, and also he hoped to create a sustainable union in the future, like unitively all the fishers.
I hope you can. What are your hopes for the fishers themselves and their families?
So he hoped to build a union for fisher together, because once fisher can build union successfully, their rights will be improved. So this their rights improvement also has a good impact on their family members.
Is there anything else you want to add? I want to thank you very much for speaking with me, but also if you have anything else you want to add, please do.
For him, he doesn't have anything to add, and he hopes that he has provided a complete picture.
You have very much provided a complete picture, and both of the complicated work of organizing fishers and the incredible creativity that it takes to do a job like yours as an organizer. So thank you very much for the work you do. I hope next time I'm in Thailand, I can meet you. I really appreciate your time, Nguyen and Shui. I really appreciate you as the interpreter. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay. အဲ့တော့အချိန်ပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်တဲ့နောက်တစ်ခါသူထိုင်းနိုင်ငံကိုရောက်လာတဲ့ခါကြာလို့ရှိရင်လည်းအခုတွေ့ရမယ်လို့သူမျှော်လင့်မယ်ပေါ့နော်။ Okay.
ကျွန်တော်လည်းကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်အခုလိုဖြစ်ဆိုခွင့်ရတဲ့အတွက်လည်းကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်လည်းအမြဲတမ်းကြိုးစားပါတယ်
So he also thanks you, and he also feel pleasure that he got this opportunity to answer those issues, and he said you are always welcome.
ขอบคุณค่ะ How do I say thank you in Burmese, Shui?
ကျေးဇူးပါ
Hezuba?
ကျေးဇူးပါ yeah.
Hezuba?
Yeah. ကျေးဇူးပါ
In this second interview, I spoke with Lin, a Cambodian organizer who has been in Thailand for 17 years and moved to Songkhla 7 years ago. Hulk has been a fisher in Thailand for a number of years, but only moved to Songkhla in 2023. He joined the FRN 4 months prior to this interview, along with other fishers on the fishing vessel that employs him. Okay, can we start by asking the colleagues there in Songkhla to introduce themselves?
ค่ะเราเริ่มโดยย้ายทางทีมสงขลา So her name is Lin. She is based in Songkhla and she is organizer. So he is a fisher and his name is Hok.
So Hok, where are you from?
คุณฮกอะค่ะมาจากไหนอะคะมาจากเรียบครับมาจากอะไรนะคะ He's from Siem Reap.
From Siem Reap. Lin, where are you from?
แล้วคุณลินมาจากไหนอะคะศรีสกล
Thank you. So can you tell me a little bit about how long you've been working with the Fisher Rights Network and what motivated you to join?
ค่ะช่วยอธิบายให้หน่อยได้ไหมช่วยว่าที่มาทำกับFRN เนี่ยค่ะ She said she's been working here for 7 years. So she said for Hook, so he's been working in Thailand for 6 to 7 years, and he moved to Songkhla. He's been in Songkhla for 4 to 5 months. Rin, so she has been working in Songkhla as an organizer for 7 years, and before that she lived in Cambodia. So he's been working as a fisher for 6 to 7 years, but to Songkhla he just moved in, so it's been 5 months. in Songkhla. So the motivation factors for him to join is because he wants he want the fisher coming together and then become stronger, and also he also wants to have some knowledge about his rights of fisher.
Okay, and Lynn, what is her experience? When did she come to Songkhla, and how did she meet the Fishers' Rights Network?
ค่ะสำหรับคุณลินนะคะคุณลินเข้ามาที่สงขลาได้ยังไงแล้วก็มา she said before she lived in Songkhla, she used to live in Songkhla before, and at that time she said she experienced problems that Fisher faced and challenges, and but later on she said that like John was also like looking for people to work in this area, and he also likes this kind of work, so that's why she worked and this is how she like started to work in FRN. So in the past when she arrived to Thailand, she had never seen any organization that's working like this, and because she found that FRN, and she also like feel she wants to work in this area, she find it interesting.
Lynn, you mentioned that you've seen a lot of the problems in the fishing industry. Can you tell me about your experiences or what you've witnessed?
ที่คุณลินกล่าวมาเมื่อกี้ค่ะว่าคุณลินได้เห็น so she said what she heard from fishers was that some fishers while like working on board because of this some equipment has run out, and some like was the electricities, and some fishers they were shocked because with the electricities, and for some fishers like they were deceived to work, and some like they passed away while working on board, and also like working over time, like no time for a rest.
Can I ask Hoke to tell me a little bit about what kind of fishing you have been doing in Thailand, and what are some of the typical conditions you've experienced?
ตอนนี้ค่ะอยากจะถามถึงคุณฮกนะคะว่าที่คุณฮกทำงานมาบนเรือประมงเนี่ยค่ะเป็นเรือประมงแบบประเภทอะไรอันนี้คำถามที่หนึ่งนะคะ so the kind of fishing vessel that he worked it is black net, and it has around 20 fishers on fishing vessel.
How long has he been fishing on that vessel?
บนเรือนั้นนะคะทำงานมานานเท่าไหร่คะบนเรือที่ว่าเมื่อกี้ค่ะ 4 months.
Hoke, can you just describe a little bit? How long do you go to sea? What are the conditions like in terms of the sleeping quarters and the health and safety and food and water issues on the boat?
ค่ะก็คือเข้าใจว่าคุณฮกอะค่ะทำงานเป็นลูกเรือมาประมาณ6 ปีแล้วเนาะแล้วก็ทำงานบนเรือที่กล่าวมาเมื่อกี้ค่ะ so he said for one trip it there's no like specific duration, it lasts each trip sometimes it lasts 3 days, but sometimes lasts 7 days, and for the food like he has to order like for 7 days, they provide for 7 days, and for the rest hour it's not sure as well, it depends, and sometimes like he has to work for overtime and not enough like rest hour, and on shore once he back, so sometimes they have not enough medicine, so he has to buy medicine.
Hoke, Can you tell me why you started coming to the Fisher Rights Network? How did you meet the Fisher Rights Network, and what motivated you to join? Do you have a background in organizing or in joining with unions, or was it that you needed some help with a certain issue, or what reason brought you to the Fisher Rights Network?
ค่ะคุณโฮกอะค่ะเข้ามามีส่วนร่วมเนี่ยค่ะกับ FRN เมื่อไหร่อะคะแล้วเข้ามามีส่วนร่วมได้ยังไง So he said once he worked on this on board he met like with FRN and he's been like participating joining FRN for 4 months. He joined FRN because FRN like helps him like in terms of giving advice and also like explained about his rights, give him information about the rights. So this helps him like this enable him to negotiate with the employer. So he said he joined FRN because he wants Fisher to become stronger and working together and negotiate with employer for like salary, and he thinks that if there's a union in Thailand, it would be great.
He's on a vessel with 20 fishers. Do those fishers also participate in FRN? And do they come together to negotiate with the vessel owner? How does it work on his vessel?
He said on that fishing vessel there are 27 fishers and 20 of them join FRN.
Hulk, can you walk me through the process for who decided when? Did you all talk together and then go to the FRN office? Was there an issue on the boat, a problem on the boat that made you all decide it's time we get some help?
ค่ะคุณโฮปก็คือก็มีบนเรือเนี่ย So when problems or any issue happened on board, they talk among the fisher first together, and then once they talk among the fishers and they go to like to the employer together, and then they negotiate with the employers, because he said like if they go together and they can like negotiate because it makes them stronger. So he said once the problem happened, they negotiate among the fishers, and then they send like a representative or a leader of the fisher to talk to the employer, and if it doesn't work, so they come to consult with FRN, and after consultation with FRN would advise like to go as a group together, and all fishers like has to go in the like one direction together for demand for what they have, and the consultation is like all the fishers need to be like united and like ask for the rights together.
Thank you. Can I ask Lynn, how do you do outreach in the community? Do you go to the ports? How do you meet the fishers? How do you organize?
คุณลินนะคะคุณลินเวลาออกไปเขาเรียกว่าอะไรออกไปทำกิจกรรมอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะไปหาลูกเรืออะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะการทัน So when she like do outreach, she goes to the field and talk to the fishers and ask what kind of problems they face on board. She said like it's kind of like trying to build relationship with fisher, and she let the fisher to talk about to share their problems that they face on fishing vessel, and she also asks how they resolve the problem and was it successful or not. When Fisher share problem, she asks for the big problem, the big concern that fishers are facing, and then she encouraged the fisher to solve that big problem or main issue like together. And in free time, she asks fishers if they want to join meeting together and exchange their concern and problem, because she wants fisher to know that the problems that fishers are facing on this fishing vessel also like it's not a unique problem. The other fishing vessel also like has this kind of problem. So she wants those fishers to come and exchange.
Lynn, where do you go to meet with the fishers?
She said she goes to jetties. It's like a port, you know.
So she goes to the dock, the jetty.
Dock. Yeah, the jetty. Yeah.
She goes to the dock. Lynn, if you could please help me see what you see and really understand how this works. When you're building a relationship, how many times do you have to meet a fisher at the port, and then how does it work to try and get them to start coming into the Fisher Rights Network? Is it one time? Is it many times? You mentioned building relationships. How do you build those relationships? What I'm trying to help listeners understand is the process of organizing takes work. And if you can help us understand what that work is like, that would be very helpful.
ค่ะคุณลินเขาบอกว่าคุณลินช่วยอธิบายให้เขามองเห็น so she goes not only jetty or dock but if the fisher has a family, she also goes to fisher's house to talk there, and talking or meeting fisher is not one time. She has to go there several times and start from the small conversation, and then next time she talks deeper and deeper, and sometimes she also talk via phone to the fishers.
Do most of the fishers have their families with them in Songkhla? Does she meet with the wives at all?
ลูกเรือส่วนใหญ่ที่สงขลาค่ะเขา so she said only small portions of fishers that has family members here. For those who bring family to here, the wives of fishers work at the jetty, and but for the majority of them, they don't have family member here.
Okay, so I want to ask both of you this question, but let's start with Lynn. Lynn, can you describe one of the most difficult situations you've learned about in terms of the most abusive or the most difficult to solve case of a fisher that or a group of fishers that you've met and helped?
ค่ะคำถามเนี้ยค่ะอยากจะถามทั้งสองคนนะคะแต่ว่าถามคุณลีก่อนนะคะ she said two cases. The first case was about like getting advance money, and if like approach to employer for that, and then if they like to get advance salary, sometimes if approach to the government, the process is complicated, and she has to like find information and approaching the government is the process is very is complex. And another case, she said there was like that case happened, and when notify the government doesn't want to get the report about this. Like when report to the government, sometimes government they bias, take side with the employer, and also like once they not report the government said like okay, they will talk to the employer, and sometimes like the process is also quite, it takes some time, and fishers has to wait. Some fishers they run out of their patience because they has to wait for the long time, and they feel like useless to wait such a long time. For that case, like the children of the fisher were asked to come to take the compensation, but to get the compensation has to provide lots of documents and translation of those documents, and it takes time, and sometimes the translation the document that translated is not accurate or not enough supporting documents, so has to keep waiting.
Can you go back a second and ask her what happened? Was the fisher who reported the case to the FRN? Was the fisher a member? And what's happened with the case now? Are the fisher's children in Thailand, or did they have to come from Cambodia to Thailand? Can you try and just ask if Lynn, you could give a little bit more of the specifics of what does this mean for those children and the family?
So she said, yeah, that case, the fisher was member, and children came from Cambodia for the compensation, but the compensation for migrant case is a bit complicated, the process.
How long have they been waiting for compensation?
So that case, it has been more than 3 months and no progress yet. Sometimes she said the children of the deceased fisher called her and consult with her for the documentation for the process. So the children of the fisher was told to make passport. So the children went to do passport, and then it also need the bank card, the bank card, the ATM card, the bank book, yeah. And but that one still hasn't received it yet. She said up until now, the children hasn't received the compensation money yet.
Both Tahok and Lynn, I'm very sorry that you lost one of your brothers, one of the members of the Fishers' Rights Network in that way. This must be difficult for everyone to lose someone like that. Does it make them more afraid to do this work?
เนี่ยค่ะถ้าเหตุการณ์เนี้ยค่ะมันทำให้ it makes fishers fear and also angry, but they still have to work because they have to feed the family. They still have like burden to solve.
Yeah, I can understand that. Hook, can I ask you to share a little bit about some of your biggest concerns or fears about this work and about how fishers are treated?
The things that he fears most is the electric wire and he's not sure because the condition is not good, and he afraid that like he would be shocked, and some other materials, fishing materials on the fishing vessel as well. Sometimes they are like already worn out, and yeah, he are concerned for those things.
Have you raised those issues with your employer, or is the FRN trying to address those issues?
He said he raised issue to captain or the captain assistant. Sometimes they check and they change after he raised the issue.
Okay, thank you. So my last question, and thank you both for taking the time to speak with me. My last question is, what do you hope the Fisher Rights Network can achieve in the future?
ค่ะก็คืออันนี้คำถามสุดท้ายเนาะแต่เดี๋ยวเราจะไปต่อคนนะคะ So he said he hoped for FRN to be like successfully establish a union and having more and more fisher joining the union, and also hoping for so that more and more fishers start to aware of the union. He said he wants union of FRN to be well known throughout the world.
That sounds like a good vision for the future. And Lynn, what about you? What do you hope can be achieved in the next couple years?
So she hoped to achieve like better working condition for fisher, better salary, so that they can feed their families, and also effective work.
Shui, what do you mean by effective work?
Yeah, she said, I mean like for employers to follow the laws and regulation more effectively.
Is there anything else that Hawk or Lynn that you would like to add or comment? I want to thank you so much for sharing with me. I hope you are able to succeed in getting compensation for the children of the fisher you lost. And Hawk, I hope you are able to get better, safer working conditions on your fishing vessel. Is there anything else that you want to share?
ค่ะเขาสอบถามว่ามีอะไรอยากจะกล่าวเพิ่มเติมไหมคะ Yeah, she also wished to be like successful for the cases, and she also feel upset that the process take long time, and she also hope to succeed like as soon as possible. Said first one is like the problem of document retention. Like passport or fishers document, fishers are not allowed to keep it with them. Captain or like the owner of the fishing vessel keep those documents. And then another common problem is fisher, like they are forced to stay on the fishing vessel when they are like on shore. And if they want to go somewhere, they have to inform, and then they cannot go as much as the time they want to. There's not much freedom to move. And then like in case of like sick or get injury at sea, like fisher, like they are not taken to the hospitals. Fishers has to buy medicine. And on fishing vessel, like not even like sometimes fisher, they can catch like good fish, but they are not allowed to eat to make food.
So just to be clear, when the fishers come to port, they're still captive by the vessel.
คือก็สำหรับลูกเรือค่ะพี่ Yeah, even on shore, their officials are still restricts for the movement. Sometimes they want to go to the market, but captain was said like you have only 10 minutes or 15 minutes for going there, and the captain is always monitoring fishers.
Is there anything else like this? I mean, this is really, I know it to think that this is a common abuse really makes organizing so much more difficult if fishers can't really have the freedom to come meet with people when they're at port. It really makes your job very hard, Lynn.
Yes, it's hard for her to work as well, and sometimes the fishers also like afraid to ask for permission. So she said, and on fishing boats on board as well, fisher like they report that they do not have like enough time to rest or sleep. Problem is that it's difficult to change the fishing vessel from one to another. Yeah, it needs permission from employer to sign that permission saying that allow this fisher to work in other fishing vessel. So most of the employer will say like when the fisher asks for permission, they will like not not free or not they are busy to sign, or actually they want fisher to keep working. So once the fisher they cannot change fishing vessel from one to another, fisher feel like they want to go back home.
Can they go back home?
ถ้าอยากจะกลับบ้านอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ because fisher's documents are held by the captain or employer. So even the fisher go to market, they are going there without any document in their possession.
So if I understand what Lynn is saying, the fishermen are trapped in 4 ways. What we hear about internationally is we hear about debt bondage, that many of the fishermen are in debt to the vessel owners, so they can't leave their job. But what Lynn and Hook are saying is they're also trapped because they're not allowed to use port services. That's the second way they're trapped. The third way they're trapped is they don't have their documents. And the fourth way they're trapped is the employer does not let them change contracts. They'll put them on a blacklist or say bad things about them if they try to change contracts. Is that an accurate summary?
ที่เขาสรุปก็คือที่เขา Yeah, she said, yes, you understand, right? Correctly.
Wow. I really hope that you are able to realize Hoke's vision of a larger union and the Fishers' Rights Network membership growing. I really admire the work that you're doing, and Lynn and Hoke, and I can imagine how brave you must be, Hook, to join with your other Fisher brothers to participate in the Fisher Rights Network. Thank you so much, Shui, for interpreting. Thank you, John, for organizing this. And thank you, Hook and Lynn, for speaking with me. I wish you, I hope that you have success with your work. Thank you for listening. As Lynn and Nguyen explained, the process of organizing takes an incredible amount of patience, persistence, and creativity. It's a slow process, but Hoke's comments make clear why this work matters. I hope you'll join me next time when I speak with organizers from a Cambodian NGO called Central, or the Center for the Alliance of Labor and Human Rights. Central is organizing migrants both in Cambodian sender communities and also in Cambodian migrant communities inside Thailand. Like Nguyen and Nguyen, the organizers from Central are focused on the slow and steady process of trust building and organizing from the ground up. This podcast was produced by Jules Taylor with technical support from the Umbra Institute. It includes original music composed by Jules. To hear other great podcasts about worker organizing, go to laborradionetwork.org. Thank you.